Where's everyone going?
Bingo.
So 2023 is evidently the year of the GameCube because, well, two of the highest rated games thus far of the year have been GameCube games. The first game was, of course, Metroid Prime Remastered. Looking at the Metacritic score here, you can see it's pretty high, and rightfully so. A great remaster of Metroid Prime with brand new visuals, but still the exact same gameplay. But on the opposite end of the spectrum, you of course have the Resident Evil 4 remake, an actual remake. Some people can't seem to understand the difference between a remake and a remaster, especially gaming journalists, but I understand why, because companies kind of interchange these words without really understanding the implications. This is indeed a remake of Resident Evil 4, whereas Metroid Prime Remastered was simply just a remaster. So what's different about Resident Evil 4 Remake? Is this game just as good as it was back in the day? Is it even potentially better than it was back in the day? That's what we're going to talk about in today's video, because I've been playing this game a bunch and I definitely have some thoughts about it. So my history with Resident Evil 4 is I bought this game on day one on the GameCube and I didn't love it. I didn't love it because I was used to the whole, I was coming off of Code Veronica. I was used to the tank controls, and this to me felt a lot like an action game. And while my appreciation for the game has grown over time, playing various versions of it on the Wii version was really awesome with the motion controls. Of course, then you have the HD versions of the game. I've played this game a million times now, and I've definitely grown to love it. Initially, I didn't quite love it because I felt like it was action horror, not survival horror. Resident Evil 4 Remake, though, definitely feels more like a horror game because, well, it's scary. There's scary stuff happening within this game. So, of course, you're playing as Leon S. Kennedy. You are tasked with rescuing the president's daughter because she's been kidnapped by a fanatical religious cult. You get to the village that she's being captured in to find out where she is and find out clues, and everything's going wild. There's ganados, there's Las Plagas, there's all sorts of stuff trying to kill you. I mean, that's all pretty basic as the story is concerned with this game. It's good enough. There's some twists and turns. There's some things that have been kind of retconned with it a little bit to make it a bit more expansive, because this is definitely a game that feels like a modern game. It doesn't feel like a new coat of paint on a game from 20 years ago. This feels like something that was, even potentially just fully designed in the year of 2023. Now, the story is fine. It's a catalyst. It moves things along. You meet different characters within the game, but this game has always been really about two things. At the time, it was a very visually impressive game, and the gameplay was absolutely outstanding. Now, it was definitely more action-based in the original version of the game, but Resident Evil 4 Remake kind of slows things down quite a bit, and I feel like that could be a bit of a turnoff potentially for some people. Brett is actually editing this video, and Brett himself told me that he wasn't a big fan of the slower pace of this game. He preferred the more action-orientated style of the original version of the game, whereas me, on the other hand, I love this. You can crouch. You can essentially be a little bit more stealthy than you have been before. Weapons and ammunition are much more scarce than they were in the original game. Of course, you end up getting a whole myriad of different weapons as you delve deeper into this title, but it definitely felt like fear, and it wasn't necessarily, just a jump scared kind of thing, which, let's be real, a lot of horror games are relying on jump scares. But when you have all of these ganados coming after you all at once, and you realize that you don't have a lot of ammunition, you don't have a lot of health supplies, you don't have a lot of time left, you're constantly running, you're constantly trying to hide, you're constantly trying to figure out the best way to tackle this situation. And that, my friends, is where the fear comes into play, because I was constantly on edge every time I would go somewhere, because I'm very familiar with Resident Evil 4. I'm very familiar with the layout of the game, how things progress throughout the game. But what they did with this game was they managed to expand but keep things very similar. When you go to an area, you'll feel like, oh, okay, this is familiar to me, but there's differences. Items are in a different spot. Puzzles are different. There's new puzzles. There's a new enemy, a brute that comes along, and he's a little bit harder than a Ganados, but he's not quite as hard as the Chainsaw Man. And there's so much cool stuff like that it's a perfect game for whether you're a diehard fan of Resident Evil 4 and you've played the game a million times, or if you're a brand new person who's playing this game for the first time, because there's new stuff for everyone. Obviously, if you've never played the game before, everything's going to be new to you. But if you're a diehard seasoned veteran who's gone through the original Resident Evil 4 a million different times on a million different platforms, there's still tons of surprises. There's still things that are very, very different from the original game. It just feels similar. Like I said, the gameplay and the gunplay is much more slowed down. It feels much more tactical. The reliance on, you know, the knives now and being able to parry different things with the knife if you time it at the right time. You know, being able to, if somebody grabs you, stab them in the throat, and then you get this knife that you can repair, of course, from the merchant. And the merchant has different weapons that were not available in the original game as well. So there's a lot of things that are different. Another thing that I found to be pretty different is just the scope and the size of everything, because even the small areas from the original game just feel 10 times more massive. They feel 10 times bigger with more exploration, more hidden secrets, more even detailed story elements that weren't really in the first version of this game to sort of flesh things out a bit more. It's not necessary or anything like that unless you're super deep into the Resident Evil lore, but it does a good job of, you know, giving you reason to explore, you know, the hidden treasure caches. There's little things called, like, there's missions that you can do. Cut out the, there's little things called. There's different types of missions you could take on as well that just kind of pop up and you could see them, and then you get some different sorts of treasures as a reward for doing them. And they're usually just kind of random stuff like kill 3 rats or, you know, shoot down the little medallions that are in the city. But these are things that used to be in the original game that you would shoot them down to get like a treasure or something like that. But now it gives you a little bit more of an incentive to do it, and it gives you more different challenges in order to complete, in order to get more stuff, so you have more money so you could buy more stuff from the merchant. Just every area that you go into, it feels so familiar, but it plays so different, and I absolutely love it. This game is challenging as hell too. I don't care what anyone says. I'm playing this game on normal difficulty, and I have died way more times than I thought I would so far. And it's just like, why am I dying? And it's like, because you have to change up your playstyle. You have to be much more defensive instead of offensive like you were in the original Resident Evil 4. And I love that. It brings the horror back into things because you're constantly, you know, under attack. You feel constantly outnumbered, but you have to persevere. You have to, you know, figure out a way to advance and keep your sanity alive. Graphically speaking, I mean, you're looking at the game. It's the RE engine. It's absolutely fantastic. I don't think there's been an ugly looking RE engine game, and this is definitely, you know, up to snuff with all the other ones. There's just beautiful details in it. There's cool environmental details that happen. It's a game that, you know, it really challenges you to explore how different things are and how different things work in terms of like physics and stuff like that. Just the whole visual presentation is an absolute treat. Everything has been more streamlined as well, as far as, you know, your intercom communication with Hunnigan. You know, it's much better. It's much faster. It just kind of pops up. It doesn't go into a secondary screen. I love the subtle changes that they've done. The lighting in the game looks fantastic. The weather in the game looks fantastic. The dismemberment in this game looks fantastic. Brett, do not show too much dismemberment. Do not show too much dismemberment, because you could you know, like torso goes off and there's like intestines. You can just put it on me for this. Intestines, gross, like a bunch of red Twizzlers, like Twizzlers pull and peel, and then like here's the corpse, here's the rest of the body. Like, yo, it's some intense stuff in this game. And the, you know, the enemies all look great. All the character models look fantastic. You know, the areas that you visit are super detailed as well. The sound in the game is super good. You know, it does kind of stink if you're a diehard Resident Evil 4 fan, because the voices for like Louis Salazar and you know, the merchant and a couple of the other characters are different people. So it's kind of like, you know, I miss the original voice actors in the game. There's brand new music in this game as well. It sounds great. You know, it sounds like a lot of these Ganados are talking about assholes. Like, if you listen to what they're saying, it's like, asshole, asshole. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? What is your infatuation with the poop shoot?
Poop shoot. Yeah.
Like, you know, what's up with that? Like, I get you're under spell and, you know, you got some virus in you and stuff, but is this a side effect of the virus? But overall, how does this game stack up to the original? It's better. It's better. In my opinion, I think it's a better game than the original Resident Evil 4. I think this is what I wanted the original Resident Evil 4 to be. Slower paced, stealth element, just you know, more fear, not this sort of action. You know, Resident Evil 4 revolutionized the Resident Evil franchise. It's a great game. It did great things for the franchise. But for me personally, it wasn't the game I really wanted at that time. I wanted it to be more along the lines of classic Resident Evil, and I feel like this is the perfect blend of that classic Resident Evil style, but has, you know, modern features. It doesn't have crap like the tank controls. It doesn't have all that sort of stuff that sort of hindered those games, but it still feels scary. It still feels like survival horror, which is what Resident Evil was built upon. This is what Resident Evil arguably, you know, defined survival horror. You know, yes, there was Alone in the Dark and something like that, but Resident Evil was the game that took it to the next level. And I think Resident Evil 4 Remake is the game that everyone should play. Whether you've played the original version of the game a million times, whether you've never played a Resident Evil 4 before, whether you've never played a Resident Evil game, if you own a platform that this is available on, and you probably do because it came out on a lot of different platforms, this is a must play, a must buy. I fully stand by buying it on day one, and you're gonna have a great time with this game. And if you don't, there's honestly something wrong with you. No, I'm just kidding, but I absolutely love this game. I think there's just so much cool stuff in it. You know, it's a great game. Like I said, for all comers of the Resident Evil series, whether you're brand new, whether you're a seasoned veteran, there's so much cool stuff in here that you're just gonna have a great time. I've just been enjoying my time with this game thus far, and I can't wait to see what else it has in store for me. So let me know in the comment section down below what you think of Resident Evil 4 Remake. Have you been on the fence about it? Of course, there is a free demo that is available that you can always check out if you're kind of on the fence to sort of get a feeling for the new controls and kind of the new gameplay style. But I definitely recommend checking out the demo, and if you just even like the demo, you'll love the full game because it's the demo and so much more. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. We're on the road to 500,000 subscribers. I would like to hit it this year, and obviously, you know, I'm not a Nintendo YouTuber. Look at me, I'm branching out, baby. This game isn't on a Nintendo Switch. There'll probably be some crap-ass cloud version at some point in time that just doesn't work, and for some reason Capcom's like, we did a good job, even though you have the RE engine on the Switch. I mean, you use Monster Hunter Rise with it. Anyways, let me wrap this up. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for constantly supporting the channel and watching the videos. I appreciate it, and as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.
I've sent my right hand to dispose of you.
Your right hand comes off?